The Q&A was, is this being recorded? So yes, yeah, I'm recording it and it will be posted later. Are you folks able to see my screen? Other panelists?
Yes.
Okay. So good evening, everyone. My name is Dave Lambadou. I'm Assistant Superintendent for Information Technology and Operations. Tonight, we're going to be having an informational meeting for the incoming kindergarten class of 24-25. We're having some technical issues, so I hope everyone, I'm going to say the names, is going to be able to help us present tonight. Dr. Michelle Whitley is supposed to be joining us. She's the Director of Elementary Instruction. We have a whole bunch of hopefully all of our elementary principals. I'll let them introduce themselves. Our Director of Transportation is also going to try to join us, Jerry Keenan. And sitting next to me is Valerie Alsawe, who's our District Registrar. So tonight, this is going to be recorded, so this will be on the website for you to look at further. There's also, you should see a tab on your screen for questions and answers. So please, as we are presenting tonight, if you have questions, put them there. Make sure you're sending the questions to all panelists, because I want to make sure that all the presenters tonight can see what your questions are. And then we'll take a few minutes at the end of the presentation to go back through questions and answers and try to answer as many of your questions as we can. We also were supposed to have a second presentation tonight. I'm sorry. I can let you move that. Okay. Due to the weather, the Saratoga Springs City Schools Committee on Special Education was going to be doing a presentation after this on CPSE to kindergarten transition planning. So that's actually going to be on Thursday night at 5 o'clock through WebEx. So that group will be back. Dr. Lori Newcomer and Bethany Nightingale. Dr. Lori Newcomer is the CPSE chairperson, our district school psychologist. Bethany Nightingale is our elementary and preschool special education coordinator. So they'll be presenting on this Thursday at 5 o'clock. So this will be our only presentation this evening. So throughout the presentation tonight are the district's pathway visions, our vision statement. We have 4 main pillars, and you'll hear as the principals are speaking and Valerie and myself are speaking about those pillars, which is equity of opportunity, collaboration, our ties to the community and how important you are for the education of your students, and then personalization of learning. So you'll be hearing about all those different components tonight as we speak, and this is our Pathways vision. These are the principals. I don't know if you guys want to introduce yourselves if you're here. So Dr. Packard from Caroline Street.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dan Packard, principal at Caroline Street. It's great to be with you this evening.
I know Dr. Miller from Division Street is not able to join us tonight. How about Cody? Are you here from Geyser Road? Cody, are you with us?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. My name is Cody Conley, principal at Geyser Road Elementary School. Thank you guys for coming to our presentation this evening.
And our principal, Dr. Davis from Greenfield.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I hope you find tonight valuable and informative. We're happy to be here presenting with you.
And our principal, Liz Carroll.
Hi, everyone. I'm Liz Carroll. I'm the principal at Lake Avenue Elementary School. We are so excited to have you here, and we can't wait to meet your kids.
And I'm not sure if we have 2 principals at Dorothy Nolan, co-principal Dana Bush and co-principal Courtney Jablonski. And I know they both were trying to get on. Any luck, Dana or Courtney? Not yet? Okay. Well, hopefully they can catch up with us. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody. I don't know, was Michelle Whitley able to get on, guys? Not yet? No, okay.
No, sorry.
That's all right. So great beginnings. So welcome everyone to Saratoga Schools. Your child and you are ready to embark on an adventure that will last a lifetime. Learning is an exciting activity, one that will enrich your child in every way and will also enrich you as a parent. Our intent this evening is to share information with you about what you and your child can look forward to in the fall We have a dynamic team of educators that will welcome your child and help them embrace school life. During the next year, many adjustments will come about. Your child will begin the exciting task of reading readiness and making sense of our numerical world. All of our staff is anxious to help you and your child get the most out of their school experience. Do not hesitate to call us often and freely as your child continues to grow and develop. So we're going to talk a little bit about sample day in kindergarten. Can I ask one of my principals to pick that one up?
Sure. So our day in kindergarten is definitely a packed day. Our kiddos come in, they work with our staff to help get unpacked. They get their folders, their take-home folders out, which is a really important piece of the puzzle for home and school communication. Every kiddo has a folder with two sides on it, so you know exactly what's supposed to stay at home and what's supposed to come back. There are building announcements that talk about the day and character education words. The kids normally come into class and have a little morning work time just to get organized, greet each other. And then typically we move into morning circle time. That's really time for our teachers, our students, and the other students in the class really to get to know each other and to build a learning community in the classroom. We do ELA and ELA win time. WIN stands for what I need time. And there's really a group lesson for all of our students. And when we move into that win time, we're really trying to tackle what individual students need. So that could be small group work, that could be individual group work, it can be remediation, or it can be enrichment. We have recess time and snack time, and then we move into our lunch time.
Someone want to talk a little bit about the kindergarten
Sure.
curriculum?
So, and to continue on with our day, the afternoon of a kindergarten day is just as jam-packed. The children enjoy special area class each day, and whether it be music, library, PE, or art. And then they have a science and social studies time, some social emotional learning, which is part of our core curriculum. And then they dismiss, which, believe it or not, to get 20 kindergarten students dressed, especially in the winter, is quite a feat, but they become experts by the end, well, in just a couple of days, actually. Okay, I can talk about the curriculum too.
You want me, I'm sorry, did you want to just, you covered, or do you want to?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think I covered it. Yep,
Okay, sorry, my bad on this.
that's okay. At the Saratoga Springs City School District, all 6 of our schools use the same core programs. So in our English Language Arts program is from the American Reading Company. And you can see in the graphic on the screen that our first unit, which is the same, kindergarten through 5th grade, is where we're building our literacy lab environment. And then in the kindergarten, unit 2, our kindergartners become zoologists and read all about animals. Then they learn about ecology and unit 3, and then entomology and unit 4. Our reading program is a knowledge building program where our children are learning to read alongside building their knowledge, which is a critical component of comprehension. And for our math program, use the Into Math program, again, that is kindergarten through 5th grade across all 6 of our elementary schools. And this program focuses on hands-on, concrete, hands-on or what we call concrete learning experiences. We also transition our children to representational learning experiences where they represent their thinking in pictures or graphs, etc. And then they move on to what we call the algorithm. And even in kindergarten, children are working through equations, adding up to 10, sums to 10. And in our core program, which isn't highlighted on this screen, All of our schools have a social emotional curriculum called Second Step, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We also have a science program, which is a combination of mystery science and Project Lead the Way, which is an engineering, scientific engineering program. Okay, you can move the slide.
I'm gonna turn it over to Liz, Principal Liz Carroll.
Sure.
Yeah, so screening is a really important time of the year. It gets a chance for us at each of the buildings to connect with some of the families before the school year begins. And it also gives us a little window into what makes your little one special. It is also additionally really important because it allows us to take a look at your child and identify some of their strengths and possibly some of their needs. So the screening will be the first week in June at various buildings. The assessment that we use is used individually with each student. It is a developmental screening tool that's designed for young children. And again, it's really helping us to identify the need for further testing or identifying particular skills that your kids may need more support with. During the screening, the students move through different stations to assess the areas that you see on the screen. When we're thinking about motor skills, we're talking about both fine motor skills like drawing with a pencil or cutting, as well as gross motor skills like jumping or throwing a ball. We take a look at students' understanding of concepts like color identification or counting. We do take a look at language skills, including letter identification, sounds, words, child's ability to articulate when speaking. And additionally, our team takes a look to collect some observations regarding social, emotional, and behavioral tasks, like a student's ability to follow a set of directions or to attend to a task. Parents are also there. They also provide us some useful information. There is a parent questionnaire that helps us to assess self-help and social emotional skills as well. The screening itself lasts about 30 to 45 minutes, and at its conclusion, parents are able to receive some feedback. As a final note, the school that your child attends for kindergarten screening may or may not be the school that your child attends. This is dependent on flex zones, which we will discuss later in the presentation.
Thank you, Principal Carroll. Hey, I got my slides out of order and I apologize again, but I don't know, you want to hit this again, Tina, a little bit?
Sure, I'd love to. And so on the previous screen, I talked about a core program that we have called Second Step. So you can see that on the right-hand side of your screen. And in Second Step, we talk about fair ways to play, how to share, how to trade or take turns. But we also talk about how to handle our strong emotions and how to solve problems with friends. And you can see on the left-hand side of your screen something called the 3 Bs. And every day at all of our schools, our students and staff promise these 3 things, to be safe, to be respectful, and to be responsible. And from those 3 promises, we teach our children expectations in school. So what is the expectation to walk in a line, or how to raise your hand in classrooms? Because we believe that children will do what they're taught, right? And they learn when we teach them. And so we're very explicit about the different expectations that we have in school. And when our children are doing what's expected, we reward them with something called the Blue Streak Buck, which is actually a high commodity in our schools. Children use their Blue Streak Bucks to purchase prizes or special experiences, either in their classroom or outside of their class. And this is what we call PBIS, a positive behavioral intervention and support. And part of those interventions and supports is the social emotional curriculum that we use called Second Step. Okay.
Thank you, Principal Davis. And I'm going to go to Principal Packard. You want to talk about communication with families?
Yes, well, good evening, everyone. Again, welcome to tonight's information night. I'll be sharing with you some information about communication. So we are in the middle of using Parent Square, the app, to really communicate primarily to our parents. So you'll take your smart device and you'll download the app called Parent Square, and we'll use that. You can use that device as like a one-stop shop to be getting a lot of your information from your school building and the school district. Also, you see on the screen a picture of Seesaw. That is a learning platform that the teachers use, and also a way for them to communicate with families. Next, you can always be checking our building websites and our district website, and also our district calendar. We will mail to you in August, and that will have all the school events, contact numbers, lots of information in the printed district calendar. Also in September, we host a family information night, also known as an open house, where you'll have an opportunity to come in, meet your child's teacher, meet the principal, take a tour of the school. Next, we make it a standard practice to communicate with families on a weekly or bi-weekly basis at each building. So you'll get a building newsletter, most often emailed to you. We also have a parent-student handbook that outlines all of our different procedures and some of our policies that are consistent across the district. You'll get that in September. We all have a active PTA, PTSO, or HSA group that is made of parents and teachers, where we come together and put on different school activities and events. Many of these parent groups have different forums such as Facebook to reach out to families. And then finally, for communication, I would say probably most important is communication that's sent home through your child's backpack, especially for a kindergartner. Each child usually gets a folder, and that's something that you would want to check their backpack each evening to receive communication from the teacher, but also to send communication in to your child's teacher. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Packard. Principal Conley, do you want to talk about our routine, the importance of routine?
Absolutely. So, number one, as it says up there, every day matters. So, as your child starts kindergarten, it's really the starting of their 13 years in school. So, if I did my math right, I believe your students, your children, will be the class of 2037. Now, that seems so far out there. But believe me, as a parent, some of you are parents, as you know, time goes by very, very fast. So again, kindergarten is the foundation where those fundamental skills happen, whether it's learning math, learning how to read, learning subtraction, learning how to add, learning how to work in a group, be cooperative with their peers, and even learning things like empathy. It's so important for those children to really learn those skills and start to learn those skills in kindergarten. One of actually, there are several studies that show that students who attend kindergarten on a regular basis perform better as third graders, typically on grade average, on third grade level, well, being on grade level. So again, it's really important for you to make sure you're sending your kids to school. However, that does not mean we want you to send your kids to school when they're sick. If they're sick, if they're vomiting, if they have a sore throat, and a fever, you may want to keep them home and take care of them. But if you ever have any questions, we want you to call our school nurse, your school nurse, whatever building your child will attend, and they will help walk you through whether you should send your child to school or not.
We'll talk about some building safety. Sorry about the order.
Sure. Well, so this is a great beginning for a lot of you. If this is your first child, you've probably heard a lot of things about school. And one of the things that families are really concerned about is how safe is their school. And we know, and studies have shown, that the safest thing that a school can do is to create a welcoming and affirming environment where children feel safe and secure and that they belong in the building. And so I hope you can feel or get a sense that from our slides previous, that that's really our first and foremost goal with your child, is to help them feel welcomed and feel like they belong. However, it doesn't set aside the need for us to practice building safety. And it is a top priority for all of us in the district to keep our children and staff safe. All of our buildings have what we call a BERT team, as in Ernie and Bert, but it stands for Building Emergency Response Team. And then our district also has a team called the District Emergency Response Team. And these two teams work in tandem with law enforcement and other community services to help us get better at what we do and keeping our children and staff safe. Some of the practices that you'll see in our schools is all of our doors are locked during the day. Visitors and parents are considered a visitor. I know that feels a little harsh sometimes when we say that, but that's our distinction, that anybody who is not a student or a staff member is a visitor. And all visitors have to enter through a secure vestibule, and they're expected to state their name and their purpose in order to gain access to the building. And the first time that you come to our school, we'll ask you for an ID. Typically, your license works. We'll scan your license and we'll create a visitor's badge for you. If you're someone who frequents our school often, you will often will know you, and we'll have your picture and your ID already be scanned, and we'll have your tag ready for you. All of our buildings have school resource officers assigned to our buildings. And another way that we keep our students and staff safe is that we practice emergency drills all year long. We have state mandated drills that every school in New York State follows, but we also work hard on holding what we call like tabletop events, where we practice or discuss the drills that we do or any situations that we have at school. We have, besides the physical safety of the building, we also keep your child physically safe through having health alerts. And I'll show you on the next page in a minute how we do that with all those kids. Some parents wonder, how will you know about my kid? How will you know everything that they need? And I'll show you how in just a moment. I'm also going to show you why custody papers need to be on file. So a lot of people assume that we know a child's home arrangement, but we don't always. And if you don't have custody papers on file, we don't know usually. So if you do have custody papers for your child, make sure that those are submitted to the registrar when you register your child. And I always like to add that sneakers are required on the playground. I love a cute shoe, appreciate them a lot, but I can tell you that children are happier and safer in school when they wear sneakers. They have to wear sneakers in PE. They can't go on the playground without sneakers. They can't run around without sneakers. So as you're preparing for your school year, think about making sure your child has a good pair of sneakers to wear to school. And then on the next page, on the next slide, this is a picture of what we call our school management system. So in this case, this is Louis, the McDuck, and Louis's or your child's picture would be up in the left-hand corner. And the top panel is all the information about Louis, how old he is, what classroom he's in, what his address is, his phone number. And underneath Louis's picture, if your child had a health alert, there would be a red cross there. And when a teacher sees that, or any staff member sees that, and you hover over it, it would tell us exactly what your child's health alert is, whether they're allergic to peanuts or whether or not they have asthma. That if our school nurses know that information, then we make sure that information is highlighted in our school management system. And then down, you'll see a gray bar, and underneath the gray bar is all the grown-ups information. And you wonder, how do we get all this information? Well, we get it at registration. You're going to provide us a lot of that information. But then at the start of the school year, we're going to send you home a form called our annual contact verification form. And it is a process. I will not shy away from the amount of time that you're going to take to look over your annual contact verification, submitting it for accuracy, etc. But as you can see on this page, like for instance, Scrooge McDuck is the grown-up for Louis. And if you go to the right of his name, you'll see a little house, and that means Louis lives with Scrooge McDuck. And then you see a little, it's supposed to be like a little mail sign. That means that Scrooge McDuck receives communication for Louis. Then you see a car, and that means that Scrooge McDuck can pick Louis up from school. And if you look down the right side of the page, also, Majika, somebody, and also I think Donald Duck can also pick up Louis from school. And we know this because there's a little car next to their grown-ups information. So when you are verifying this information with us, you tell us who can pick your child up from school. And you also tell us, who do you want us to call if we need to get a hold of you? And you can see a little blue phone that's kind of hovering in the gray bar above that. That tells us, who do we call first when we have a situation at school that we need to contact you? And that information is all the stuff that you provide us. If you provide us the information, then we capture it here in our school management system. And having the best information for your child helps is one way that we keep, or in many ways, helps keep your child safe at school. Okay?
Thank you, Principal Davis. And now we're gonna move on and I'm gonna let Valerie Elsawe, our district registrar, talk about the enrollment process. Valerie?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for logging on and attending this information night. The registration for your children for kindergarten is done all online. It's a secure, easy to use school tool portal. And we do ask that before you start the process, just to make it a little bit easier on you, that you get together the information that you will need to scan and provide, which includes the child's original birth certificate, and 2 proofs of residency, parents, guardians' photo identification, the official student immunization record and most recent physical, custody papers if applicable, preferably the one signed copy. Sometimes you may not have that available, but so we can take an unsigned, but we do ask that when you get it signed, you submit a copy of that. So once you have all of that information together, you're going to go to School Tool and you're going to do the online registration. And that will be, we have a target window here for the registration for students whose last names begin with A through C. Will be starting this week and going through February 4th. And then as you see on the screen, D through H is February 5th, I through M is February 26th, N through S March 18th, and then T through Z is April 8th. That's not to say that if your child's last name begins with a C, you can't still submit the information after February 4th. That's just a target window for us to work with. So we have, it makes it a little bit easier for us in organizing the students and when they come in and when they register and keeping track of all of that. There's a pre-kindergarten UPK to kindergarten registration that will be available starting this year. So if you have a child who is enrolled in the UPK program, that you have registered with the district for that program, then you will be eligible to do a condensed registration form. It's going to just ask a few questions and ask that you submit, we do need a updated proof of residence. We would need the updated immunization and physical, custody papers if that is the case. And then we'll also ask you to fill out the transportation form so that transportation knows whether or not you intend to have your child ride the bus in September. The information on that will be sent to families that are eligible for this by the end of this week. I apologize, we had hoped to get it out this week, but there's been a couple of changes that needed to be made, and so that will go out by Friday. And along with the UPK, we also have some parents, some families that have children that are enrolled in the CPSE, the preschool special education services. And again, if they are registered with the school district, then they also, those families will be eligible to submit the condensed registration form. So it's a major change in steps. So you won't have to go through the whole registration form that you may have done just last year to get into the CPSC program or the UPK program. So again, those families will also receive a link for that form by the end of the week. So after the registration, once you've completed the registration, those forms come automatically to the registrar's office. We look through them, review them, make sure that we've got all the information that we need, make sure that the date for registration is for the 24-25 school year. You might want to watch that. Sometimes it defaults to the current school year. So we just ask that you make sure that you check the 24-25 so that we don't think that you're an incoming kindergartner for now. But so once those come in, we review everything, make sure that we've got the information we need. If there's anything missing, we contact you within a day or two and ask you to provide what it is that we do need. And then about within the next 3 or 4 weeks, I will be sending out, about once a month, I send out a newsletter just to try to keep parents of incoming Ks up to date on what's going on, you know, what the process is, where you're at. Just, it also confirms that your child is all set and registered. And then in May, we will send out an email asking parents to sign up for the in-person screening, which will be the first week of June. But as I said, in that newsletter I send out, you'll find more information regarding that as well. And then building assignments, last but not least, will be determined in late July, and families will be notified of your child's placement by the first week of August. That's very important to keep in mind because when you register, if you live in a flex zone, it's not an automatic that your child will be going to what is considered the base school. It's a flex zone, then it's possible that your child will go be assigned to one of the 2 or 3 buildings in that zone.
Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you.
So a little bit more about student placement. So as Valerie said, the letters will go out to you telling you where your children will be placed, typically at the end of July. But there are multiple factors we must consider. So where is your residency location? We do have attendance zones, but we also have attendance flex zones, which I'll talk a little bit more about. Available resources. Is transportation available? How long of a bus ride would you have? We also look at our class size targets, which I also will talk about how many students are in each class, each section. So we have targets that are set, and I'll talk about those. But also, are there other resources? If your child requires special education services, maybe those services are only offered at a certain building. And again, if your child may require English language learner, ELL services, that also may have us place your child at a particular building based on that required service. So there's a lot of factors that come into play when we go to place your children. So this is the flex zones, and this is kind of a map of the district. And again, it's a little bit busy, so maybe hard to see virtually, but actually this is on our website as well. When you go under student registration, there's a place that talks about, there's an online interactive map, and I may attempt to try to show you the map. We'll see what happens tonight. So you can see the flex zones 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And basically that says if you live in that particular area, if you live in a flex zone, the district will place you at one of those 2 buildings or 3 buildings. Again, depending on some of the other factors that we just talked about, such as transportation, class size targets, other services, other resources that the building can offer. So on this map, and again, I'm not sure, I can't see my cursor, but this is the actual attendance zones, and then there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are the flex zones. So the map on the website, and I'm gonna see, I may lose you on this, so I may have to, I'm not sure if this will work or not. Did you guys ever see that? As my panelists, yes? No? Not seeing it?
No, we're still just seeing your presentation.
Huh, okay.
Share this one.
Let me just try this quick. Hold on. How about now? Yes? Okay. So this is actually a link on our website. Sorry, I want to click on the elementary boundaries so you can see it a little bit better. So this is a map of the district. We worked with our transportation department to create this map a few years back. And what you would do as a family members, you would come up here and you would put in your address. Got it. Sorry. You would put in an address. I have, let's see. I don't know if I want to do, that's the school district address. Want to try that one? I think I do Saratoga Springs. They come up.
Yeah, and just click on it.
And again, it shows you that we actually are in a flex zone. So in this particular place, that's actually the administrative offices, but it's actually the high school. But it shows you that you are in a flex zone area, so that we could be placed at either Division Street, Lake Avenue, or Caroline Street. And then it shows Maple Avenue, and it shows Saratoga Springs. And again, it just kind of says a little blurb there reminding him that the district is the one that will assign you when you are in a flex zone based on available resources. So that's kind of how it works. So if that's something you folks at home want to try to check out, it at least will tell you what the attendance zone is or the flex zone you may live in. And again, that's only one piece that kind of determines where your children may be placed. So I'm gonna go back to the PowerPoint. But it's a good tool. If you still have concerns or it's not coming up right in the map, please contact the registrar's office and they can verify the information for you. I'm going to stop and go back to sharing the PowerPoint. Let's see. Do you guys see the PowerPoint now? Yes? Okay. So the next item I did mention, which is a factor, is our class size targets. So as you can see for the 24-25 school year, this is what we try to cap or keep our class sizes at. So for kindergarten, we try to limit it to 20 students. First grade, 20 students, 23 students at second and third grade. And then we're in the process of kind of changing our class size targets. So next year, fourth grade will go to 25, and fifth grade will still be 27, but you can see in 25, 26, that's kind of the end of our class size reduction component that we've been working on for many, many years. So we try to, that's a factor for us. If there are 3 sections of kindergarten at a particular building and they're all at 20, then we would definitely, if you're in a flex zone, we want to move you to a building where the class sizes are smaller. So that's one of our factors when we try to balance class sizes and when we identify what school your child will be in. I don't know if Jerry Keenan, our Director of Transportation, has made it. I'm not hearing him, so I guess I'm gonna try to take this slide as well. So I'll just kind of hit some of the bullets. Elementary students that reside more than 1/3 of a mile from their school are eligible for transportation, which is probably the majority on this WebEx. During the online registration process, you will enroll your student for transportation. Students will only be scheduled when opting for transportation. So for our transportation system, now you have to sign up and opt in and let the district know that you want transportation. Kindergarten students are not allowed to be discharged without a parent, guardian, or sibling present. Parents must submit transportation changes for daycare, using daycare by June 1st. And that's all. Transportation has its own component or section on the website as well. Students will be supplied with an ID card, which they will scan when boarding and discharging from the bus. There's also, parents will be provided, there's what's called a Ride 360 app, which is actually in the parent portal. And again, more information will be sent to you on all of this from transportation. Schedules are available for the busing 1 to 2 weeks prior to the start of school. As the last part it talks about, please visit the district webpage. The transportation page itself has a lot more information on this. And with that, that kind of gets to the end of our presentation. I'm going to stop sharing and go into the question and answer piece. And I'll ask my principals to help me with some of this. So I'm going to start from what I'm calling the top here. Let's see. If we do not have someone listed as an authorized person to pick up our child, but they are picking them up one day, visiting grandparent, how do we get that information to you? Well,
They would send that information in writing to their child's building, letting them know. And then the building will request an ID from that person when they come to pick up. Typically, also, if you know that grandma comes like once a month, you can go ahead and put them on the, school tool page with the rights for pickup, and then just let the school know that they can pick up when you send a letter in saying that's okay.
one of the questions, I think I asked you this earlier. Sorry, I didn't move up to the beginning. Hopefully the panelists can see these as well. Will this be recorded and posted? Yes, this is being recorded and will be on our website. Next question was, if your child has an IEP, does that change how you register them during the registration process?
It does not, and the meeting on Thursday at 5 o'clock with Lori Newcomer and Bethany Nightingale, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But if your child has an IEP, you're still going to follow the same process by the child's last name, submitting the registration, and we have the information that your child has a current IEP. So there won't be anything different really in regards to what you need to do unless your child is going to be going to a private school or an out-of-district placement. But that information will come from Lori Newcomer and Bethany.
Next question, maybe I can ask one of my principals to help with. How is speech therapy, OT, and PT worked into a child's week within the schedule already made for the day? Yes.
I was gonna say, I can kind of jump in and just introduce myself. I apologize, everybody. Courtney Jablonski, one of the principals at Dorothy Nolan. Flexibility is the key with kindergarten. So thank you for rolling with the punches for us joining this evening. Our kindergarten day is definitely packed for kids and their schedules, but we do, lots of different students have various services that they are able to go to throughout the day. We have a block of time called our WIN block, what I need. And so oftentimes we try to schedule that so that students not being pulled from a core math or an ELA time. But we do look at every individual child and what they need and try to work that in as best as we are able to, depending on the number of services and the schedules that we're able to work within.
Thank you, Principal Jablonski. I got the next question. So what are the odds of a child will not be assigned to their zone school? For instance, my son should be going to Geyser Elementary in the fall, but I've read that depending on enrollment, it's not always a guarantee they'll attend their nearby school. That is true. As I tried to mention or go over the different factors that we have in place, again, if depending on transportation systems or other resources, or if class size targets are full for that particular grade level, then we may move your son or daughter. So it's really not a guarantee.
Right. The only thing I would add to that is that if you live in what we call a straight geyser zone, so in other words, you're not in a flex zone, then 99% you will be assigned to geyser unless there is like an IEP or a special ed or an ELL component that needs to be looked at. But if you're not in a flex zone, we really try hard to make sure that you are assigned to the building where your address falls.
Do you also get to meet your child's one-on-one aide prior to them starting school? At one of my principals?
Hi,
Go ahead, Dana.
this is Dana Bush. I'm the principal at Dorothy Nolan with Courtney Jablonski. We're so sorry that we had technical difficulties this evening, but we're so excited to welcome your children to our schools. I started my career off at Geyser, and now I'm the principal at Dorothy Nolan, have been there for 10 years, and have had 2 children that go through the district in several of the elementary schools. So you'll have a great experience. As far as Dave, can you just repeat that question? I lost my train of thought as I was getting
No, that's
excited
fine.
introducing myself.
Let me go back.
Will they get to meet the aide?
Yep. Do you also get?
So yes, so all of our elementary schools have a meet and greet time prior to the school year starting. The day varies what day it falls on, but it's before the first day of school. And during that time, our aides will also be present in the classroom so that your child will get to meet that individual, and you will as well prior to the school year starting.
This is probably for Valerie. How do I go ahead and start enrollment for my son?
So if you visit the Saratoga Springs City School District's website, if you go to the main page and scroll down to the bottom, on the bottom left-hand side, you will see a link that says student registration. You'll click on that. That brings you to the registration page. And then you'll just scroll down until you'll see the link to begin the process for registration.
These are a couple of registration questions. So regarding registration, is proof of residency for the parents or for the child?
Proof of residency for the parents. So we would need something with the parent's name on one of the eligible, there's a list online also of what eligible documentation you can provide for that.
If you're having any problems with your parent portal, there's a place to kind of reset it. There's also a link, I think, for help for the parent portal, correct?
For this question about registering last year, you do not go back in as a returning user. You will go in as a new user. We do not, that information, if you go into last year's paperwork and submit something, that does not carry over to us. So you would need to go in as a new user. And so your session key and password, you will not need to know them.
This might be for me. To confirm on a flex zone, you already have children in school. It was my understanding you are grandfathered into the same school. If the children are currently at an elementary school, then yes, we try to keep families together. So that's a yes.
Currently in school. So
Currently,
you've got fifth
yeah.
grader this year going on to Maple, then we try to keep you there, but it's not a guarantee depending on the numbers.
How is transportation handled for school, handled by the school for disabled children? How do you register for this? I believe that's still on the transportation website.
Yeah, that actually, the pupil services
Will help with
will
that.
help with that. It should be in your child's IEP that they need certain kind of transportation. If that's included in the IEP, then yes, pupil services works with transportation for that.
Well, students, there's a couple of transportation questions. And again, our director of transportation, Jerry Keene, is not with us, but maybe the team can help. Will the students get a practice ride in the school bus? I don't know if they do or not on that.
On that meeting, the greeting day that we typically have a school bus at the school, and the kids get to get on the bus and talk to the bus driver. The parents get to get on the bus and talk to the bus driver. However, there are not practice runs for the kids.
Thank you, Principal Conley. So next couple of questions, where can I get information about before and after school programs? What do aftercare or after school activities look like? So kind of putting those together, if someone wants to respond to that, one of my principals.
The before and after school programs, if your elementary school has a YMCA program, what we call the BASE program, you would reach out directly to the YMCA and register your child for the BASE program, which is located, it may or may not be located at your child's school. I'm not sure which elementary schools have the BASE program. And when you talk about before after school programs, we typically have club activities for children and usually for the upper grade students, not typically for kindergarten students. We also have a tutoring program for first through fifth grade. That is a couple of days a week, either before or after school. But when you're referring to aftercare, I think you're looking for more something along the lines of the YMCA, and that is directly through the YMCA, and you can reach out to them.
I'll just add to
Thank you.
that, Dr. Davis. There's also, I think each of the principals communicate like in their newsletters, if there's special activities coming up that you could possibly register for, that would come out from each of the buildings to talk about what activities before and after school kids could sign up for.
We have another question on what are the school day hours?
We start at 9:10. The children get off the buses, and 9:20 is when instruction begins, and 3:20 is when instruction ends, and we begin our dismissal process.
Perfect, thank you. Do you have a co-teaching model in your schools? Do you have any age within kindergarten classes?
I can answer that one. So we do have a co-teach model in grades K, 1, 2, and 3. And then we have what's called a consultant teacher model in grades 4 and 5. The aides, we do have some aides within the building, but they're tied to a student's IEP. So if a student has aid on their IEP, then that kindergarten class may have an aide. The co-teach also has teacher assistants that are in the room when the special education teacher is not in the room.
Thank you. How are students assigned to different classrooms? So again, the placement of the students, what their teacher or classroom is done by the building. So again, if one of the principals wants to expand on that.
Just call them.
I can jump in. It is definitely a complex process that we use a lot of expertise around the building to help look at all of the students at whatever particular grade coming in, thinking about the needs of the individuals, trying to balance our classrooms in the best way possible, thinking about the supports that individual students need, and then any other information that we may have about kids and making the best decision for them academically. I know that buildings are always willing to hear feedback or any concerns or needs or ideas that families may have. But we do appreciate you understanding how complex that is when we're thinking about multiple sections and the different constraints that we work within with scheduling and supports for our kids. We do the very best we can for each and every kid as we place them in classrooms.
Thank you. We have several questions. I'm kind of combining them on transportation. Again, some of them are related to daycare. So there is an option. Again, it's not guaranteed. Depends on where the daycare is. So that's the form you have to fill out and work with transportation. If you're not sure about transportation, or if your transportation depends on maybe what school you're assigned to, again, you can certainly fill that out. You always can call transportation and get out of that. Or maybe you want to wait till you know where your child is going to assign to, and then you can, again, fill out the transportation component afterwards.
So you can still, like families that are in a flex zone, you know, you're not going to know what building your child will be assigned to. Still fill out the transportation form, and transportation will know what school you're going to be assigned to. So to make sure that they route your child on the correct bus. So definitely go ahead and do that You don't have to put in an actual building for that to go through.
So there's a question about flex zones, and if we are close to the actual physical building and could like walk to the building, does that kind of play a factor in as far as where you will be placed? The answer is yes. That's another consideration that we have, that if you are close to an actual building, you'd be a walker to the building. If you're in a flex zone, again, depending on class size targets and some of our other resources, we would try to place you at that school if we could. This is probably for Valerie. Can you start uploading registration documents to save your application without submitting? Or are you recommending having all documents before starting the registration process?
You're going to want to have all of your documents before starting the registration process. There's no place to save it until you get to the end. And when you do save it, it sends it to us automatically. And then we'll just be having to be in contact with you, letting you know that we didn't receive everything. So you're better off to wait until you have everything. The only exception to that would be, let's say your child is due for a physical in the end of April. You can still submit all the other paperwork, and when your child gets their physical, you can submit that at the time. But the other forms and documents that we need, it's best to have them all together and then do the registration.
So some people are putting in about if I have a school care provider that lives close to a school outside of our zone. Again, we have something that was called babysitter requests or change of elementary requests, which is that form. And again, it really depends on, is there transportation available? Is there room in those particular sections or grade levels? Whether we can honor a change of elementary request like that. But that's also on the website.
And we do try to do that as
We do.
much as possible. It's just sometimes our numbers, if somebody that's already, let's say Division Street, for example, they already are completely full with students that live within that zone, then we wouldn't obviously be able to honor a babysitter request for that school because there just wouldn't be the room. But we do try hard to.
Yes. I'm seeing a technology question, which I'm glad to see. So again, our technology requirements, are there technology requirements or digital literacy requirements? So at the kindergarten level, like in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, there are class sets of iPads. So the kids may use iPads. So that's one of the things that they'll use, but those iPads will remain in school. And there are digital literacy standards, actually new ones coming out, but they're more for the upper levels of the elementary level. So not an awful lot in kindergarten. Are there other languages other than English taught at the kindergarten level? Principals?
No, there's no other languages taught within the school day. There are some before and after school programs sometimes offered, but not within the school day.
Okay. What if you live in a flex zone and you do not find out which school? This is about if your child is attending a base program. Again, that is something to factor and consider. And again, you may want to work, if you're working with the YMCA, work with the Y until you get that information.
Right, and the other thing is, if your child is in the base program and they end up not being assigned to the building where you had signed up for, I believe sometimes the Y has openings at their West Ave branch, and so then your child could do the before and after school program at the West Ave branch and still get the bus then from there to the building they've been assigned to.
Let's see, we talked about transportation, and yes, you can submit transportation after June 1st. There is a breakfast program, is that correct, everybody? All buildings, chicken head shake. Dorothy Nolan, I believe your base program is with the YMCA in Saratoga, not Wilton.
Yeah,
Wilton
we,
Y?
we do have a base
We have a
program at our
base
school.
program within our building as well.
Yeah, okay. And they had, I don't know if you have other recommendations for programs other than the Y.
Yeah, that's really.
That's one of the main
I'm-
ones
yeah.
around here. So,
There is, with Dorothy Nolan, there is an after-school program at Gavin Park as well. And students take the buses from Dorothy Nolan to Gavin Park.
awesome, thank you. That kind of concludes our list of questions. Principals, anything else?
There's another question that just came in. Do they eat breakfast at school? What time is lunch and is there a snack time?
So any students that would like to eat breakfast, we open our doors to students that would like to eat breakfast at 9 o'clock. Before we open the doors for the rest of the building at 9:10, where all the students enter. So they can eat breakfast right here. Lunchtime does vary based on each building and the building schedule. So you'll get that once you have your meet and greet, and you'll know your specials times and the schedule for the week, your teacher name, and the lunchtime. And yes, we do have snack time during the day. And we ask for families to pack a nice healthy snack for kiddos to eat in class.
Okay. Principals, anything else to add? I think we got through most of the questions. If we did miss a couple, please reach out to any of the principals or reach out to myself, Dave Lamadou, Assistant Superintendent, or Valerie, and we'll try to answer them. But we're a little after 7 o'clock, and I'm going to be respectful of everyone's time. So principals, are we good? Yes? All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a great evening. Appreciate everyone. Again, this will be recorded. This will be on the website if you missed any of this. Have a good evening, everyone. Bye-bye.